what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Pen and Pixels. Welcome to D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. What's going on, everyone? I am your host, Arvin Elleron. It is episode 158 of Pen and Pixels. This is the show that we do every Tuesday, focusing on story and narrative in games. I apologize profusely for my late start. I got done with my previous stream a little late, but more importantly, I had a family matter that I had to attend to. Everything is fine, but I had to go deal with that, and that had to take precedence, so I apologize. The good news is that we hopefully have an awesome session queued up for you folks today as we spend the next 2.5 hours with you plying our trade throughout the world of the Sword Coast as this party continues to move onward and upward as they have reached the giddy level of 7. That's right, 7, level 7 today. So that's going to be awesome. I am excited. I hope you folks are as well. This is going to be good times. Before we move on here, just a couple of quick reminders about ways to support the stream. If you have not done so already, I would appreciate it very much if you were able to support the stream by actually subscribing to the channel. Subscribing to the channel, of course, will allow you to get access to these emotes and all that kind of good stuff, and that would be very much appreciated. If you have not done so already, being able to check out the YouTube channel, where you can see past broadcasts of the stream is great as well. But mostly, the most important thing is just being able to be your lovely selves by following and checking this out would be much appreciated. And so, as we have the chat on the screen now, the way I wanted it to, I am now going to unmute myself so that they know that we're about ready to go, and then I'm going to unmute them, and I am now going to head over there. 3, 2, 1. There we go. The crew is there. We are ready to go. We are set. And again, my apologies to both them. I've already apologized several times. My apologies to all of you for being late. But we are here until Blackheart, I believe, takes over at 7 p.m. playing, I think, Rogue Legacy, although I'm not 100% sure if he's doing that or something different today. I don't remember.
Pretty sure it's Rayman Origins.
Rayman Origins. That's right. That's right.
It's Rayman Origins.
That's right. Rayman Origins.
Before the dark times.
So it is going to be a good time. We are looking forward to that in 2.5 hours. But in the meantime, we will be regaling you with Dungeons and Dragons across the world of the Sword Coast. And Memories in 8-Bit subscribes just now. Thank you for the 36 months in a row. Why do dragons refuse to eat paladins? Because they taste so lawful. Yeah. Yeah. I think that deserves one of these. Yeah, for those of you on chat, that was a little bit of the Witcher 3 quest music. Good stuff, Memories. Well done. I approve. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter. Thank you for the resub, Memories, of course. Always good to have 8-Bit with us. So I am going to let our players introduce themselves and get into it, since I am a dirty, rotten, late person. And I will start with the person right below me. You have lame D&D puns for the next 20 resubs. Oh, my God. Until 56 months resub, they'll just be like, here's another good one. But anyway...
Wow. You say good.
We will start with the coordinator of this herd of cats that we call the GOG stream team, and that is, of course, Pyron Jade. Hello, Pyron. How are you? How's life in the universe, and who are you playing, etc.?
Life at the universe is actually going pretty great. As some of you might know, we're actually renovating the old house that we bought, and we're getting new flooring. So everything is really exciting.
Wow.
And yes, I like having floors. And today I'm playing Greta Goldenfire, Dwarven Cleric of Foltus. May his light shine on your way. And I'm a little bit late, so I'm just figuring out all my new spells and spell slots right now. And but yeah, I think Greta had some really interesting experience. Whoa, lots of things.
Someone rolled 2035. I think that misses. So, damn it.
Must have been that dragon.
Yeah.
and so. Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. Maybe move on to Saber. I think it's his fault anyway.
It's probably his fault. Always a pleasure, Pyron. Thank you for being with us. As always, congratulations on the floors. I had this image of you like stepping very carefully from rafter to rafter because you didn't actually have a flat surface down. You're like, finally we can walk normally, and I won't lose my child to the basement every time they go across. So I look forward to
Don't talk about that.
Flooring. It's flooring. I will hurriedly move along to Dark Saber 2K. Always a pleasure to have Saber with us. Saber, how are you? I hope it is not true that you have no idea. I hope that you have some idea of what we're going to be doing. So
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I love that shirt, though. That's good stuff. How has life in the universe been for you, and who are you playing?
Life's good, thanks. And I will be playing Sao Sig Mauer, who, after sort of struggling to remote control Urash in a battle against giants last week, somehow ended up in a worse condition than Urash. So I am terrible at proxy play, apparently.
No, I mean, according to him, you'd be great at it. You're just bad at handling yourself when you're proxy playing.
Yeah. My plan to Shadow of the Colossus the Giant ended up with a club in the face.
Yeah, you can only invest yourself with one person at a time, and that's basically that's all it worked. So, but it's a great pleasure to have Saber with us. I look forward to hearing more from him and hearing more from Pyron about their characters' improvements. And we'll talk about those in just a moment. Moving right on down the line, though, we have, of course, back with us Mike, who I guess I can't really call you Screaming Joypad anymore, man. I feel like it's an end of an era. Now you're just Mike. You're just Mike, good guy Mike. Like,
baby, you can call me whatever you want.
Okay, maybe I'll call you Texie. All right. I will.
You could call him maybe.
You can call me maybe.
This is crazy, but yeah. Now, how you doing, Mike? How's life in the universe and everything, and who are you playing?
I'm doing all right. I've been busy. The last time I looked at my calendar was like August, and I haven't really stopped. I've been doing a lot of stuff online. I've been doing a lot of stuff, non-video game related stuff. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I have changed my Twitter handle. I'll get that out there now. It's now, since live streaming, I'm no longer Screaming Joypad on Twitter. I'm now Mike Smith _SH. That's to fall in line with my more professional work, but more on that if you go to my Twitter handle. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm in a really nice place at the moment. The universe is being quite kind to me at the minute, which is really nice. And I'm really excited to be playing D&D again. Speaking of which, I am playing Urash, the half-orc barbarian. Yes, that's definitely who I'm playing. I nearly said a Warforged. God, I haven't done that in a while. Okay. Yeah, that's wow, that's deeply ingrained, isn't it? Yeah, so I think I missed the last session, so I'm frantically leveling, which is, to be fair, you guys are all worrying about spell slots. I'm just like, oh look, I get a few more hit points. That's pretty much all I do. And then I'm keen to get started. My cat is falling all over the room for some unknown reason, but that's just one of those things.
Awesome to have you back with us, and thank you, Echo, for the resub. Echo with 21 months in a row, who says, "Why is Urash such a barbarian? Because he likes to go clubbing." Hey, that's good. Good quality stuff. Quality stuff. Happy 2019, everyone.
Happy everyone.
Okay,
Yes.
can we just keep this doing? People subscribe with really bad D&D puns.
I like this. Yeah, no, I think subs with really bad puns are really awesome, and I think we should continue to do that. What's up to Kanjia? And also we have of course, a streamer introduction from Echo, which I will talk about in just a minute. But thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure. I'm glad to have you back in the fold. And last but certainly not least, of course, we have Tasty Chai with us. And Chai, is that a bandana? What are you wearing? What is the hat / bandana / thing that I see?
It's a bandana. I am trying a grandma way of curling your hair, but it's not dry yet. So I had to do a thing just to look presentable, because otherwise it's curls everywhere.
I see. And I've now successfully called attention to it. So that's great work by me.
I know. Well, I called
thanks.
attention to it on my Discord. I was like, nobody asked about the turban.
I think you should just have gone along and just been like, I've decided to get in connection with my turban wearing roots. This is a Chai thing, Chai family ritual. So
exactly. It's just what we do.
It is good to see you. So how's life, and who are you playing?
Life has been fine. It's been very, very busy, but that's normal when the semester starts. Everything's kind of until everything settles. So. We're still in the phase. And I am playing River, a silver dragonborn who has sort of had some developing moments and has been discovering things about herself.
Yep.
And has been very, very confused about life. Like, her entire worldview has shattered. So So that's been fun.
Yes, I am looking forward to seeing how we pick up the pieces of that shattering.
Indeed.
And by the way, while we're on the subject, of course they know this, but chat, as a reminder, these folks have just leveled up to level 7. They have reached the dizzying height of 7th level, which means lots of good stuff. And I have to say, I'll let Mike handle this when we get back to him, but you do get something, as a barbarian at 7th level, which is pretty good. It's Feral Instinct, which is pretty damn good. And I'm going to want to hear you talk about that in a minute. But all right, what we're going to do is I'm going to do the introduction, because Echo worked really hard on it. And then I will let these folks tell me what they've done in their leveling. Then we'll recap quickly, and then we will move on with Harshnag and company. I will sort of get through this quickly because I know we're late getting started. So let me do this introduction, though, first. Echo sent this along and says the following. Okay, 2018. I feel like this is... 2018, a turbulent and yet a very giving year. To some, a very hungering year. To others, a very traveling year. Define those travels as one can, referring back to Arv's band The Road, which is having its CD release party on Friday. Arv just made all this up. Well, no, he is having a CD release party, but he's just decided to add in a shameless shill for his band starting at 8 p.m. at the Lily Pad in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Buy tickets now. We have left behind 2018 and entered into 2019. An exciting year it was, too, for our adventures encountered a rather peculiar silver dragonborn. Like most dragons, hungry, but unlike most dragons, hungry for anything, whose name is River, tasty river of chai, as she was full of life. Speaking of life, tuxedos, bald, and nobility, oh my, an almost endless supply of utter lunacy. And someone felt he did not need a certain finger, so he was snatched. Selsig Mar, becoming the four-fingered Selsig the Shady Ranger. Still, nobody has been proven of any shady business affair. He's just too damn sneaky, that halfling. Even with all that gracious fiery light emanating from the follower of Foltest herself, Greta Guldenfire, the finest dwarven cleric in all of Faerun and the beacon of light of this menacing group. And alongside these three, big stomps heard from a tall, muscular, and robust half-orc, follower of the Tempest, Urash. One does not simply avoid the berserking sorry, it should be this way. One does not simply avoid the berserking wrath of this fellow. Its very air you breathe is a poisonous fume. I made that part up. One does not avoid the berserking wrath of this fellow should one cross him or his companions. But onwards as we must let the adventure continue. Wait, what's that? You wish to know who these fine folks are? Type in !host and give them a good follow. And for a reminder of who these characters are, type in party and embrace the knowledge. Without further ado, we wish you all again a happy new year. May it be a grand year. But if some of you have and are still struggling, remember, just because someone stumbles and loses their way, it does not mean they're lost forever. We've all seen bad turn to good plenty of times. Hope, faith, community, and to quote Albert Pike, what we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others is and remains immortal. Good stuff, Echo, as always. Thank you, thank you. Good work for the introduction. Thank you, sir. Wonderful stuff, Echo. And now we can get back into the party. So they have turned to level 7. So I'm going to ask in reverse order to give Pyron more time.
I'm fine.
Oh, you're fine. Never mind. I shall
fine.
ask in regular order. What has Greta Guldenfire got in her bag of tricks that she did not previously have, Greta?
Well, Greta Goldenfire got more experience in matters of faith, which and so her God granted her bigger power. So I now have level 4 spells. Yes.
Man, level 4 spells.
These being Guardian of Faith, Wall of Fire, and Death Ward, which I find pretty fitting. I also figured out that I did not put in all the other spells during the time that I needed, so I also now have 2 more level 3 spells that I had forgotten until now, apparently. So now I also have Zone of Truth and Spiritual Weapon.
Awesome.
And I need to roll for my hit points.
Yes, so let us see that happen. I'm also going to let the party know... you're going to not have the maximum hit points yet. You're going to be at what you had last time, but soon. So, yeah, your hit points are 2,035.
So
okay, now that's 4 plus your con, though, Greta.
4 plus 3, so 7 more hit points.
All right. So it gives you a maximum... What are you up to max now?
63.
63 hit points. Oh, yeah. Okay, that plus the spells, very, very impressive. I look forward to that. Also, the party was very happy to hear that Greta has gained the power to do this death ward, which would keep one of them from death. And I'm going to quote him because I thought this was very funny. Urash's comment was, "Wait, don't I already have that?" Like, so basically he's just like, oh yeah, I mean, like, typically I don't get killed. I just, I just get hit and then I come back.
Yeah.
I'm like a Weebles Wobble, but they don't fall down. Like, you can hit me, but I'm just,
As long as there's a kind hearted cleric near me, I will never die.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's totally fine. But anyway, Death Ward is awesome, and those other things. Actually, what does Guardian Light do? I actually don't know what that does. Or the Guardian.
Make something up.
The Guardian of Faith. I will try
Guardian
to
of
just
Faith, yes.
open it. There we have it.
Cannon.
A large spectral guardian appears and hovers for the duration in an unoccupied space of your choice that you can see within range. The guardian occupies that space and is indistinct except for a gleaming sword and shield, emblazoned with the symbol of your deity. Any creature hostile to you that moves to a space within 10 feet of the guardian for the first time on a turn must succeed on a dexterity saving throw. The creature takes 20 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. The guardian vanishes when it has dealt a total of 60 damage.
Wow.
Oh,
so
it's more like I put like a thing, and then everything in around 10 feet of it gets hurt.
You said the word
hoovers. So it was like vacuuming up. Like, like it hoovers everything.
I am the spirit of Dyson.
Well, it's like Ghostbusters too, right? It vacuums people up the same way. I got it. I understood the hovering.
I think that's pretty. That matches Greeter.
Yes, I think that absolutely does, and I like the idea of that's actually going to be really useful in just a moment. Awesome, I like it. That's going to be really cool. That with that little scary moment. No, that's good. There's a lot of really powerful spells that clerics get benefits get access to at these higher levels, and you will need them because you are now in the world of starting to fight giants straight up, and they're kind of powerful. So yeah, awesome. Okay, so you are now at 36 out of 63. Moving right down the line. Darksaber, let us see what Selsig has gained, not 2,035 hit points. What are the things you want to highlight that you now have, Selsig?
So in addition to just generally becoming better at stabbing people, and now I get 46 bonus sneak damage whenever I pull off a successful sneak attack. Which I haven't done for like months. So my one defining good thing for a rogue in combat, I don't get to do.
Yeah, it's just been the way it's worked out, I guess, actually. But
it's hard to sneak attack a giant when you're charging towards it on horseback, I found.
Who said that?
We could throw you towards the giant next time. I mean, if you move through air, you move silently, as long as you don't scream.
Right.
Doing it by surprise to me doesn't count as a sneak attack.
It should. It totally should. If the rogue is surprised, it deals double damage.
Quick,
something with a surprised rogue.
Which leads me into my next thing, because as you all are aware, I'm full of great ideas, but people don't listen to me very often. So while I was lying on the ground concussed from a giant's club last time, I gained some insight onto ways I may be able to use the faint tuggings of magic that I feel as an arcane trickster to maybe make them agree that some of my ideas are actually really good ideas, and I've gained the suggestion spell where I can tell them to like go walk 10 miles in that direction, then stand on your head. And they'll agree, as long as they fail their saving throw, that that's a jolly good idea, and we'll go and do that.
And they will go and do that. It is. I look forward to that. I should point out, by the way, that in 2 levels, at 9th level, magical ambush means that if you are stealthed and then cast a spell, the creature has disadvantage against saving throws. So I have this image of like you jumping from the shadows, huzzah, Hadouken, like leaping from, the shadows to do this.
But I promise only to use that ability for really stupid things, so they're guaranteed to do them.
Yes.
Go paint that wall.
Yes, exactly. It is
Saber, you're going to be so happy, or rather Celtic, is when you find out about one of my new second level spells. You will be so happy.
Additionally, I've also gained evasion, which means any area of effect that requires a dex save, I will only take maximum of half damage from, and that's if I fail. If I pass, I get no damage.
It's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah. And again, just the extra even more sneak damage. So let's actually have your actual hit points, which are not 2035.
No, I am currently sitting on 7 out of 39, but I roll a d8 with no modifier because I have no constitution. 4.
4. Okay. Right in the middle. Okay. I remember the days when rogues were getting 6-sided dice for this, but then then that was the old days. Then they sort of made everything casual friendly. And okay, so
if I know anything about World of Warcraft, it's the rogues always complain that they need a buff.
Exactly. We don't do enough damage. All right. So you are now 7 out of 43 hit points is your total. All right, good stuff. As Takanji was
43. What on earth did you do last session?
Well,
you instead of
yeah.
the other way around.
It was an interesting experience.
We tried to sneak past a group of giants, and somebody was too loud. I don't even know who. I don't remember.
It was me.
Clearly, I was gonna say, clearly it went well.
She's like, all right, very, very stealthy. So
Clunk.
exactly, clang, clang, clang. Exactly. That leads us right down to, of course, Urash, who is level 7 barbarian. So, despite your previous claims, Mike, you do in fact have some good things that you do have something cool that you get at level 7, which is what? What do you get?
I do. I think my previous comments were more towards the fact that I don't need to faff around worrying about what spells I need to choose.
Oh yeah. It's very simple, very clear.
I get given stuff. I don't really need to choose things. So I'm assuming that during our ferocious ordeals of the last session that I will have gained the insight of feral instinct. Now, technically, what feral instinct does is it allows me to have advantage on initiative rolls, which I think everyone will agree that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, however, if I am surprised at the beginning of combat and I'm not incapacitated, I can act normally on my first turn. There's a catch, though, and a catch I rather like. However, only if I enter my rage before doing anything on that turn, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a given anyway. But so that's what I get.
What I love about that idea is that someone leaps out and like literally is like, "Ha!" and you're like, "So angry you surprised me," you know, like yeah. What? Like your rage keeps you from being surprised. You're like, you know, I hate it when people surprise me. You know, like at birthday parties, you walk in, everyone's like, "Surprise!" You're like, "Ah!" You know, like, oh my god!
Hacking the wall.
Not to magical ambush Urash to clean up my room.
Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty awesome. And then of course we have the hit point situation.
Yes, indeed. So my con modifier, roll 20's roll mechanic has changed. That's weird.
Yeah, you noticed that. Yeah. Yep.
Let's assume it's that. No, I don't need to roll 2 of them. That's not why I needed to roll. Apologies for that. Can I roll that first one?
You can take the first one if you want.
I will just the first one. So 7 essentially.
Okay. Right, because your con's you only have 1 bonus on con?
2.
Because you got, so I think
a con bonus of 2.
So you would have an 8, right? 6 plus 2?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, when you said the first
I'm
one,
not a math guy, but I think
physical the left dice on the screen rather than the actual bit on the chat.
Yeah, I was looking at the chat is the one that matters. So
yeah,
6 plus 2, 8. So that means you've got a maximum of.
When I get my character sheet up, 75 hit points.
75 hit points. Wow.
I don't know what I'm currently on though.
You are at 42 out of 75.
42, thank you.
It's been a.
At the moment I was at max health, and I'm like, I'm certain that's not going to be true.
When you say, when you say the points you have, it's rather the points you don't have. Let's talk about what you don't possess.
Duke Mirror, thank you for the raid.
Thank you for the raid, Duke Mirror. So yeah, 42 out of 75, awesome. And then. And then the last, but certainly not least, of course, we have got the advanced movement of tasty chai. So, and specifically of River. So, River, what have you gotten as you've entered the world of level 7? By the way, don't forget to check your racials as well to see if you have any race bonuses at that level too. The Dragonborn, for example, may have a race bonus at that level. I don't know off the top of my head, but I just want to make sure that we're thinking about that because you can get that too as you advance in your life.
Well, as for race bonuses, I have no idea. But
Tell me class bonuses. I'll look up race for you.
class bonus, I know that I got a 4th level spell was unlocked, and so I looked deep within myself after that experience with the Dragonborns, and they inspired new ice in me, so now I can call forth from the heavens a blizzard, which is awesome. So I believe it is called Ice Storm. So that hopefully will kind of counteract all the fire.
Yeah, Ice Storm is no joke.
Yeah.
Ice Storm is pretty impressive. And by the way, Ice Storm has also been used to good effect in games like Baldur's Gate and things like that, where having Ice Storm could be very useful.
Yes.
Yeah, the one thing so I don't notice anything different except that at 6th level, the damage that you do using your breath weapon, which I believe is cold, because I believe it fits your description, is 3d6. And you can't use the breath weapon. You can only use the breath weapon once, basically every short rest. So if you take a short rest, you can use that. And they take a saving throw to try to avoid the maximum damage from this. But a creature basically will take 3d6 damage if they fail their save, and they'll take half as much if they succeed in their save. So either way, you're going to be doing some serious damage. And your breath weapon will affect, because it's cold, it's a 15-foot cone. So a cone in front of you. Now that also affects party members. So you need to be aware of, like, not, breathing towards, say, Urash, who, doesn't really die anyway, as he's pointed out. I mean, he just...
Yeah, Urash doesn't die. I can avoid all the damage. Well, it's fine.
Sure, it's fine. Greta will just put up a wall of fire, and we'll have ice and fire.
Oh, Greta could just stealth. She'll guarantee to miss.
Yeah, I would just...
She'll do that, say it's a song of ice and fire, and watch as the royalty money rolls in. Like, just rolls in. That's all it is.
Or like she can cast fire, I'll cast ice at the same time, which will basically just result in warm water being thrown at people.
Right, they just get draped with, like, a shower. Like, right.
Yeah, or like really, really scorching steam. I mean, some of us might have died in caves of Kut from that,
That's true.
Yeah.
You might get hit by that. That'll be good stuff. Awesome. Okay, so that is a lot of good stuff. I like that idea of the ice storm. Now, hit point wise, you were at 32 hit points maximum. So you just rolled it, and you now have.
I have math. 37.
37. All right, so you've got 32 out of 37, not 72. I wrote in 72. I'm like, that's not right. 32 out of 37. Lovely, lovely.
That would be
all right.
insane
That
for
would
a
be
sorcerer.
amazing. Yes, that'd be crazy. That would be what we call a Monty Hall campaign in the business, and Monty Hall campaigns are not good ones.
God,
all right.
You used the shield.
That's right, yeah. And by the way, in case anyone's curious, it has been a number of sessions and a few months since these folks leveled last, and in that time, they have been doing a lot of exploration. So in case anyone's curious, one of the things that triggered this was the discovery of Harshnag after quite a bit of exploration and searching. And so while we are on that subject, I think we will get the music fired up, and I will recap quickly and then let it back over to the party to decide what they want to do. The party is going to get a chance to rest here in just a moment, but we will talk about that in just a second. So this party has been trying to gather information about why the giants have become a threat to the people of the Sword Coast. Not just an individual threat, but a group threat, where they have been challenging towns and, oh my god, where they have been attacking rooms. Cats. They have been attacking. Cats have been attacking things. It's terrible. And I've been trying to figure out why the Sword Coast has been under attack by these giants. They basically found, after a number of adventures and sessions, for which you should check the Pen and Pixels playlist on my video channel and check out all of our past broadcasts, because these folks are awesome and you will have fun laughing, as I have with them over the many weeks that we have played. What they discovered was that there was a person named Artis Cimber who was carrying this thing called the Ring of Winter, something which apparently had an impact on driving the giants to some kind of madness. Also, that there is something weird going on with the leadership structure of, basically the leadership structure of the giants. They are not acting as they normally would in accordance with their laws and beliefs and so forth. And so that is what has caused giants to fight giants, giants to start attacking villages and towns for no apparent reason, and so forth. And so the party went forth to discover details about why this was so. As Echo pointed out, there were many steps along the way involving fancy dress balls and many other things. But as the party was continuing, they continued to gather more information about artist Simber and where he might have gone. And the only lead they had, which they found in Waterdeep, thanks to one of the Harpers, to which they are sort of aspiring members and to which River already belongs. What they discovered was that there was a particular note that was left behind by artist Simber that made reference to this group called Force Grey, this adventuring group, of which one of the members, it turned out, was Harshnag. Harshnag, which over time they came to realize was an individual, and now apparently have learned is actually a giant, and we will find out more about that in just a moment. They also found that there is another party, another group of people which has been causing trouble and has been staying ahead of them. When they spent some time in the High Forest, at one time they were in the Shadowtop Cathedral trying to gather information about the location of these giants, but they had to be able to get that information. They had to help purge the forest of corruption, which had been put there by several people, mysterious people that had come before them. So in other words, someone is also trying to seed problems, cause corruption, discover people, but not to help them, as this party is trying to do, but to hurt them. And so the party now finds itself in a difficult situation. In the meantime, while they've been doing this, of course, they've also had a lot of their individual things to decide. Selsig, for example, has had to work through the process of, we talked about the finger, but also kind of come to terms with who he is as a character and whether or not he's okay just constantly giving himself over to trying to help other people instead of turning a tidy profit, which was, you know, that's the thing about a conscience. It's kind of annoyingly there all the time, you know. And so he's had to deal with that. Greta has had to come with an understanding of how she deals with people like Selsig and others in the party that are kind of doing crazy stuff, like the Harpers, which she doesn't necessarily trust because she thinks they're weird, and how Foltest would feel about all of this. Obviously, Urash has had to deal not only with his rage, but also the potential of a cursed weapon which he bears with him, this axe of blood, which has troubled him and worried him as he's tried to figure out who and, you know, what he's going to be with this terrible weapon of that has been spoken of infamously in legend. And last, of course, we have what River has gone through, as she has come to learn not only the requirement of sacrifice, which is not eating as much as she might otherwise do, but also learning something about her own heritage. In our last session, she and the rest of the party encountered a long dead race of dragonborn that were underneath the ground in this area in the Grey Peak Mountains. She had to resolve, along with the rest of the party, their conflict. One group, these dragonborn, had destroyed much of the world, and the survivors had basically fled underground, and they were incredibly powerful mages and magicians and sorcerers. And when, some centuries later, some of them wanted to leave again to interact with the races that were again emerging in the world, the bulk of the dragonborn that were down there did not want them to leave, because they felt that they would cause the same problems that had happened again would occur this time. So there was a great battle, great curses placed upon them. And so when the party discovered them, these were only ghosts still locked in this ghostly debate and competition between the two of them. Ultimately, River ended up deciding with the aid of her companions and ended up, I believe, deciding that both sides were wrong, if I'm not sort of mistaken, and essentially resolved their conflict. And the Dragonborn swore that they would assist her and would come to their aid at some point in the future when needed. And so, sobered by this encounter, River left with the rest of her companions and headed on into the Grey Peak Mountains, where they were told Harshnag would be found. At the end of our last session, there was a big fight among and between the giants who were basically battling each other. It was looking not great for the home team, as you can tell. A lot of people were injured and hurt and all that sort of thing. But then when things all seemed lost, there were a couple of giants that remained, and they were removed. Basically, one who was hit in the back of the head, another one who was basically axed in the stomach, and a third one who was Aragorn from Fellowship of the Ring Nazgul fight weapon to the head style, taking out this last giant. And he introduced himself as Harshnag. And so as we begin today, and I hand things back over to the party, Harshnag is, if this is who it is looking at all of you. Again, he is this very tall, blue-skinned giant. He has a dragon skull, a white dragon skull for a helm. And he is sitting facing you. In fact, I'm going to see if I can track down a picture so I can show you on stream. But as I do that, you are all looking at him among the bodies of these other dead giants. What would you like to do?
Bleed.
Besides bleed.
I'll walk up to the others and I'm gonna chant a prayer of healing for everybody.
Okay.
So that's a 2d8 plus my spellcasting modifier of healing.
All right.
Let's see.
Divided or to everyone?
For each and everyone.
I don't need it.
So-
I haven't been hit.
I would just wonder if I can also hit myself. Up to 6 creatures of your choice that you can see. I don't think that's myself, so everybody else.
Okay.
You can look down.
I can't see myself.
Your butt out.
Did it work cast at what level? Level 2. So
All right.
did it work? Yeah, it seems like
Aye.
14 for each and every one.
14 for everybody. Okay. So that means that
I'm getting better.
River, you're maxed out now,
Feeling
just so you
better.
know, because you're still in the range of that. So, and then we got 50, 63. Okay. Also, I'm going to pop up on stream in just a second what Harshnag here looks like.
Harshnag also gets 14 if he wants.
He doesn't seem to need it, but certainly appreciates the thought.
Over healing.
Too much, he blows up. Like, oh, crap. Son of a... let's see. Okay. All right. I have just put him up. You can see a picture of him. Ignore the person to the side. That person's irrelevant. Actually, that looks... Well, except for... I don't know what that shield is all about, but that looks a little bit like Greta-ish. Not really. Anyway, he's
Wait,
the one
what?
that matters.
That is a blue dragon's skull that looks like a bird.
White dragon skull.
Still looks like a bird.
Yeah, well, if you want to tell them that's
Don't
fine.
make fun of my people.
Now I do wonder whether you have a bird skull.
It's very pointy.
I am terribly offended. Decapitates you all. Okay. So he is there. That is, of course, him in sitting position. Normally he'd be standing up, but he's this enormous, looking giant, and he looks down at you all very seriously and says, "So, I had heard news that someone was searching for me. I did not expect it would be a group of this kind, though. My goodness, is this what the Harpers send these days? Well, I am pleased to see that at the very least, you're able to know your way around a fight, more or less. Are any of you injured?"
Yes, all of us a little bit.
Ow.
He says, "I am sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, my ability in healing is somewhat limited, but I can certainly protect you while you rest. I imagine we have much to talk about, you and I."
Okay.
I say nothing, but I have not stood down. I've not lowered my axe or anything. I don't trust this person. Am I near the others at this moment?
Yes.
I've definitely put you between him and me.
Oh, the Moobot link seems to be broken. Also, Crotro Alien pointed out correctly that I can use it on myself as well, so I also get 14 hit points. Yay!
Yay!
Creatures of your choice, let me see. Oh, yeah, that's right, actually. If it's creatures of your... That's right. Yep.
So I will turn to the others. How far away is this hashtag?
He's probably about 25, 30 feet away. He actually chucked that axe to take out the other one from a decent distance from the rest of you, so...
And have we ever received a description of Harshnag? Physical description of Harshnag?
Yes, but I will describe it again. So he is a very large, blue-skinned...
No, sorry to interrupt. I know what he looks like, but did we, the party, receive one before finding him?
Oh, I see.
Because
no.
last time I played, this was, Force Grey was a legendary group,
Yep.
and Harshnag was just a word that could have been a person,
Right.
an event, a place. It could have been a flying castle for all we knew. You know,
I was somewhat
not
surprised he was a giant.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did know that he was
exactly.
you did know that he was an individual,
Yep.
that he was an individual person. You
But we
figured
didn't
that out from the
know
last session, but you
race,
didn't know anything about what he was. Nope.
Okay, cool. Yep, axe still firmly pointed at this strange giant who killed 3 additional giants. So clearly a boss giant. I'll turn around to the party members and just as quietly as I can, although I'm assuming I'm probably raging at this point as well, for at least the next
Yes,
couple
you
of
are.
It's a quiet rage.
minutes. Yeah.
Look
It's
at
a
what he's
Steve.
doing.
It's a Steve. Yeah. Guys, we have no idea who this is.
Said his name's Harshnag.
Well, we don't know this.
Why would he lie?
He said, "Oh, people lie sometimes." And to be honest, we haven't,
Not people, he's a giant.
we
Wow.
haven't had the greatest luck with giants. all the giants are fighting themselves. We don't know one giant from another.
Oh.
Has anyone ever said, like, I've been, and I'll motion to the axe a little bit. I've been kind of out of it recently. Has anyone told us that Harshnag is a giant? Do we know that?
They
No.
didn't tell us he's not a giant.
How does he know we're looking for Harshnag? We didn't.
Granted,
Hello, are you Harshnag?
I'll- I'll nod to River. I'm just like, that's a fair point. No one has told us that he's not a giant. I mean, yeah, can't argue with that. That makes some solid sense. That makes some solid half-orc sense right there.
I look at Harshnag and I say, Harshnag, would you be willing to answer a few of our questions? And I would call a blessing from my god to know whether you're telling the truth or not.
He says, I would be happy to do so. I assume you don't know too much about me other than what the legends say, and the legends
No,
say quite a
we
bit.
No.
No, we don't. And we haven't had the greatest amount of luck. And I'll say this to Harshnag, we haven't had the greatest amount of luck with giants recently. So you'll need to forgive our suspicion. But you, in fairness, just like we could be anybody. You could be anybody.
You speak the truth, my friend. Yes, I understand completely. These are dark and dangerous times, after all. When I first met the members of my adventuring party, we had similar doubts about each other. Certainly, cast whatever you may, I will speak as truthfully as I might.
Okay, I kneel down, I pray, and I cast a zone of truth. And everybody in here who would like to keep lying can make a charisma check. Charisma saving throw.
Well, firstly, that's going to go horrendously if I wanted to continue lying. But not lying.
So you can make a charisma. Everybody, you can feel this. So you can really feel the zone going through you.
Out of interest, charisma saving throw. What would that be?
That
Would it be
I
zero?
perfectly in my mind.
I was not trying to lie. Oh, God damn it. This is terrible. Celsic, you feel so happy to tell the truth. So happy.
The best thing I can actually feel whether a creature fails the save or not. So I can just feel that it's
There we
working
go.
on Celsic.
Do you yell out, like, I'm not a ranger, okay? I'm not. I'm really not. I'm really not.
I'm a thief. I nick everything that isn't nailed down.
Oh, how do I feel it? I just like
Okay.
shiny
I was like-
shit.
You must make a charisma saving throw, says the spell. So everybody,
Oh, we all do? Okay.
Oh, so this
It's
isn't
not
it's not an
I've just
optional
written
thing. Okay, there you go.
Apparently.
What is the capital of Assyria?
I got better.
Yeah.
I got better score than Celsic. This is fantastic.
there you go. I just put it
I mean,
on there.
I'll still fail. But yeah.
Okay. All right.
Dang, even with my +7, I still don't think I can lie.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, because the DC is going to be higher than that, I'm pretty sure.
It's
For Greta's.
14. My
Okay.
spell save DC is 14. So
Since you know if they fail or succeed, and since it's mandatory, Harshnag fails like nobody's business.
okay.
He's happy to tell you the truth. He comes over, he's like, I'm not really a giant. Like, pats you on the shoulder, Celtic.
It's just
I'm a
strength.
really,
then.
really, really,
Off the
really
table,
tall
and-
child.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you Harshnag?
And he nods and he says, I am.
Is he lying?
Nope.
He could try to lie, but it's
He's like, I'm not. No, he says I am, and he does not seem to be lying.
Let's see. I haven't answered. A creature that I don't know. Where did it say that? Okay, whatever. And so how did you know that we were coming?
He says, I heard rumors of you. There are people that I know and creatures that I know that give me information. There have been some time issues happening, as you know, with the giants. And I knew at some point that there would be some who would come to seek out members of Force Grey, including their one giant member. And he sort of looks and says, that, of course, is me.
How many other members of Force Grey are there?
Besides myself, 4, but I have not seen the rest for some time. We are now scattered to various parts of the Sword Coast, and indeed, it has been even a decade or more since I have spoken to them. They are probably, however, doing what they can to fight this in their own way. I had thought that I may eventually be reunited with that party, but perhaps it is better that I be with others who don't perhaps have as much of a large footprint, if you will, when we leave. Force Grey had a rather loud way of doing things in my youth.
Why are the giants freaking out?
Ah, that is a tale. I'm happy to tell you the answer to it, but shall we sit down and eat and rest as we speak? This is a tale for a campfire.
I sheath my axe at this stage.
I look at the others and say, so far he has been telling the truth. He is Harshnag.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm really over my head and scared all the time.
That's true. That definitely feels true.
Yep, yeah.
And Harshnag sort of says, it's all right. Many people feel that way. The point is that you go forward even when you feel frightened. That is where true courage lies, my friend.
I look at the others. You can also ask him questions.
He puts his feet like shoulder length apart. He has only one axe left. The other axe is currently buried in the skull, the back of the other giant, 25 feet or 30 feet from him. So he puts his one axe to the ground and then gradually sort of lowers himself into a sitting position. You can see his hands on his knees there. Now he's only twice as tall as Urash, as opposed to being, 4 times.
Wait. Are we sitting among the corpses?
He sat down nearby them. Yeah, he seems to do so with no problem.
That's pretty icky. So maybe we could find another place, like a nicer place to sit down, like maybe not among the corpses.
Certainly. Perhaps we should move some distance from here at that, just in case carrion crows or others are brought to this place. If you are willing to follow me, right over the hill is where my camp was. It's a good thing, actually, that I heard you. I was planning to move out and head further into the mountains this evening, but once I heard the sound of conflict, I knew it was time for me to see what was happening.
Okay.
So he gets up if you're willing to, and he sort of smiles.
We need to get our ponies.
Oh, certainly. If you'd like, I could carry them.
No. It works completely the other way around.
Well, for
That's
you,
not how
perhaps.
ponies work.
He's like, you realize that his foot is as big as one of your ponies, like, and so, yeah.
Noticing my pony. Let's go and get them.
Okay, when you get over the side, you see far in the distance Sweet Roll still running away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Yeah, you see Sweet Roll.
That name is stuck.
Sweet Roll, and I don't actually know how many ponies you had. Was it just a few? I know Sweet Roll was there, but I don't know
how many ponies could I have? What would you
well, you only had Sweet Roll, but I didn't know if anybody else had one. Nobody else had a pony with them, right?
No idea. I don't know what happened.
Everybody else had a horse, and it really sounded like I could have many ponies, and now I'm sad.
No, not you individually. I just want to make sure
why not?
Because we don't want to talk about stabling and food requirements. All right, so you gather all of your, the people together, all the ponies and horses together. and sort of move them over the hill to where you see Harshnag has sort of on the side of one, like kind of a outcropping, basically this cliff face. He's positioned himself where there's a camp, and there's actually a small little fire burning already. And by small, I mean probably as large as Selsig, standing up, like the entire fire. And he says, I'm sorry, the fire is a little small. Perhaps I can try to build it up a little bit with some wood if you're willing to wait here for just a moment.
Oh, okay.
So as you get there, he sort of strides off, and then you hear in the distance this like this horrific cracking. And then when he comes back, you see that he's actually got with him a tree trunk, like an entire tree, that he's just got over his shoulder, and he just drops it to the ground, and he says, all right, I would stand away just a little bit. Wood chips can be a danger. And he takes out his axe and just one-handed, wha-bam, chops it right down the middle. Chops it a couple more times. Chop, 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 chop. And then does basically...
I need me an axe like that.
Yeah. This axe, by the way, since you mentioned it, Orash, this axe is formidable looking. It is jagged. It looks like it's been through a number of battles, and you can actually see that it seems to be... It looks like at first you think that it's steam, but it's probably too cold for that. It seems almost as if there might be a little bit of wispy frost coming off the edge of this thing as he chops like repeatedly into this thing. And, you know, within only a couple of minutes, he's basically chopped up a bunch of firewood. Each one of these logs still being like a 5-foot, you know, log, basically.
Yeah, like a proper log.
Yeah, and he tosses them into the fire, and soon there's this like roaring fire, which is frankly like for you guys, bonfire, you know, Burning Man times 10. Like for him, it's not so much.
A communal bonfire kind of thing.
And he says, "Ah, that's better. Now, for food, have any of you eaten? Lately, I mean."
Nope.
Nope.
He says,
Nope.
"Fortunately, I have saved something extra." And so underneath the mountain, so it seems, he reaches in his hand, and you see there's a little recess back there. And some of this cold, you notice, is back there. And you can actually, Selsig, I think you're probably closest to it. You can feel the cold kind of flowing out of it. It's almost like there's a small ice cave of some kind, which is right there. And inside of it, he pulls out an entire dead cow. Like just the whole cow. Just picks it up, brings it out. He's like, "How do you like your cow cooked?" And just basically puts it and puts one of his logs, which actually is lying by the fire. It's actually a smaller one that's a spike. And he basically takes it, rams it through the cow, puts it on top of a spit, and starts rotating it over the fire. He says,
Urash and River are just like jaw on floor moment. Which is like, that looks so...
Yeah, it looks damn good. "Fresh cow." He says, "I was planning on keeping this for a snack, but now that you're here, I think this could serve for a meal." You notice, by the way, that he's very, for someone of his size, soft-spoken. You know, like he doesn't scream at you or shout every time. He's, you know, pretty relaxed. He's just enormous.
You're not, if I may, you're not like most giants we've met so far. Well, firstly, because you've not tried to kill us yet. And secondly, you seem more, well, normal. That makes sense?
I think it does. You mean that I do not see you and rage and begin to try to put my axe into your head, do you?
Yeah, pretty much.
That is a novelty.
Yep.
He says, "I agree. It was the case that most of my kind were like this, although there were some more evil than others. But those we could normally control. It is only in recent months that a true madness has swept over my people, and I think I may understand why. Assuming you're all comfortable as we're cooking this meat here, I'll tell you the story of what has happened, and, if you are willing, I would welcome your help in solving this problem. I believe that you are the people that have come to seek me, but just in case, do you have some mark or symbol that you are indeed a party that has been sent to seek me out for good purposes?"
Greta looks like...
Pin. I have a pin.
And he looks at it. He says, and he sort of does a small smile. Yes, the Harpers. I had assumed they would. The rest of you have these pins as well?
I think we do, right?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I may have lost mine.
I may have read mine.
Which is
have...
his RPG speak for I didn't write it down.
I pawned it for 5 gold. Okay. So,
I give the giant a look that tells that that never in my life anybody has ever doubted my intentions.
He's still aware that we're
my good
still have to
intentions.
tell
I
the
mean,
truth, though, isn't he? He knows we're in the truth field, so I can just say we were sent by the Harpers.
That's true, although I think at this point, does the zone move with you, Greta? Because if not, then you're out of the zone at this point, because you went over the hill.
No, it does not move. I had to put it somewhere.
So you can lie with impunity, Celsic, if you want.
And it's only for 10 minutes anyway.
Back, baby.
Forget what I said back there. That was a lie.
I partially think I have a pin, but I think I stuck it to my Tempest symbol because at one point that was the only thing I was carrying, and I wanted to carry it with me as well.
Right.
And also, Celtic, while in that zone, you could still decide not to answer or answer evasively, like Harsneck did when I asked about the other Force Grey people. When I asked where he knew from us, like some people that I'm not gonna name told me about it.
He didn't lie.
It's fine. It's completely fine. He didn't lie.
So he says, it is enough. I believe anyway, and believed in my heart that you were the ones who had sought me out, for I had a description of you. You asked me before, Greta, how I knew the details of what happened, and I will say simply that there are many who have taken note of your passing, including the birds, creatures of the air, and perhaps an occasional dragon or two. I think you may know of one of these dragons, and that dragon came and sought me out and found me. He didn't know exactly where I was for some time, but after he had spent some time with you, you had apparently narrowed down my location enough that he came the rest of the way. I congratulate you.
Was it Kalismana?
He nods and he says, I see we understand each other. Yes, it was Kalismana. That
good guy, 12 feet tall, red. Yeah.
Yes, the large winged fool, but I mean only good things to him. He is, of course, a dear friend. And indeed, you could do far worse than have Kalismana for a friend. Yes, Kalismana sought me out, and I must congratulate you. I have wandered here for literally hundreds of years through the Sword Coast, and I am not found when I don't wish to be. Yet you managed to track me down almost directly to my location. This is good, for I think fate has brought us together in any case. What do you know of the Ordning?
That was about 1 or 2 sessions ago, right?
Something like that.
We know that it's it's what keeps giants in check. It's the social code almost.
That's right, more or less. The Ordning is the way that we organize our society. It is what was given to us by our gods, chief among them Annam, the All-Father. He decreed countless ages ago that the giants would be ordered in a certain way, that it would be the charge of the tallest of the giants, the storm giants, who would be the ones to control the others. Some of the lower less giants, I mean lower only in terms of their overall general height, they tend to fight for smaller game. It has been sometimes a struggle, for example, to put the hill giants in line. Sometimes they have gotten into battle with their brethren. Sometimes fire giants do not necessarily work well with others, and indeed have been corrupted to serve the cause of evil. And yet for a long time, storm giants have been able to control this business themselves. Storm giants are able to dictate things below. We in the frost giant realm, I am one, rank themselves on martial prowess, our ability to kill. I gained my status when I killed this dragon, and he points up to the skull at his head. That was a difficult fight. I had this battle when I was but a teenager, you see. Yet, after a difficult fight, we were able to defeat this creature. And I have always carried the skull, though I have fought and killed many dragons since then. But you always remember your first one. And he kind of gives you a grin as if he, he has no idea what he just said, other than just what it sounded like. He says, the problem comes when the ordning does not work as it is intended. and there have been difficulties of late. Some years ago, you may remember, we had a great battle between many of the civilized folk of the Sword Coast and the dragons. They say that Tiamat herself was attempting to rise from the demon depths and take over control, yet she was thwarted, I hear tell, by a great and powerful band of adventurers. In any case, once she was defeated, and Tiamat was restored, it confused many of us, and I believe that it also confused our gods. What I have understood is that the ordning was shattered, probably by Annam the All-Father himself. He demanded that the 6 giant types battle each other, and at that point, we found ourselves locked in combat against each other. This would have been fine if King Hecaton had remained in charge, and yet King Hecaton has now gone missing. Hecaton is the greatest of the storm giants. From Maelstrom, his citadel deep within the trackless sea, he presided over a court that included representatives of every race of giant, from the mighty storm giants to the hill giants I spoke of before. Fear of his wrath and respect for the ordning was enough to keep lesser giants from rising up against him. And yet, over time, it became clear that something bad was going to happen. When the ordning was shattered, Hecaton did his best to hold things together. In this he was aided by his queen, Queen Neri, whom I have met myself. Queen Neri cares deeply for the small folk, ones like you. She argued patience and tolerance and care. And yet there were others, 2 of his daughters in particular, who argued that there was great danger to be associated with spending time with, fraternizing with the smaller folk, that the giants needed to dictate things in a way they had not done before. Only one sister, Sarissa, his youngest daughter, believed in what her mother and Hecaton himself had thought would be true, that there could be peace between giants and the young people. Well, Hecaton now has disappeared, and since Hecaton's disappearance, the sisters have fallen to warring. There is no ordning anymore, or at least none that we can find or ascertain. And with no ordning, it means there is no order either. We find ourselves at each other's throats and with no control. My job since then has been to protect the North from the depredations of evil giants, while seeking out those who share this goal. I have already slaughtered a few of my kin, and I have not enjoyed the experience. And he kind of fingers, you can see he kind of stops turning and he looks over at his axe, which he kind of puts over his shoulder. So he's turning the spit with one. There's a wonderful, delectable smell, by the way, now coming up from the cow. And he's got his axe over his left shoulder. And he says, "Thus I have come searching for adventurers, or better said, you have come searching for me. And I think I may now have an idea. Although I could slaughter my giants, if need be, my fellow evil giants, wherever was necessary so as to stop the depredations of evil, I think the time has come to consult with a higher authority. I know the location of a temple built by my ancestors under the spine of the world. We call it the Eye of the All-Father. According to legend, this temple contains a divine oracle. If you will, I would lead you to this temple. We can consult with this oracle and learn how best to end the giant's threat to the north. Were you less powerful, I would not do this, as the journey is likely to be perilous and dangerous beyond anything you have encountered so far. And yet I am heartened. You seem to be the type that are resilient and can overcome the obstacles placed in front of you. Thus, I make this offer. We must stand together, I think, or we will fall separately. That is the failure of the giant's vision, but it is something that I believe I understand."
If I may, why has Force not undertaken this task?
And he nods and he says, "It is a question I have pondered myself. Perhaps we are all individually engaging in this task, as I have been killing the giants. But Force Grey, when we last parted, did not do so on the friendliest of terms. We quarreled. There were disagreements over how best to engage. Some thought that we were too present, too loud, created too much damage wherever we went, despite the fact we were trying to do so to help the innocents. Others believed that we only did what we did because of how we did it, and we could not separate the way that we did it from what it is that we chose to do. Either way, we quarreled and broke apart. I have reached out and sent messengers to the rest of my compatriots in that party, but have heard nothing. I fear the worst for them, but until I find them, I must do what I can to uphold the good the best I know how.
Where did you sit in this argument?
He sort of chuckles as he tilts a couple more times. I am not what you would call stealthy. As you sort of look, as you see him turning the entire cow.
There's no shame in that.
He says, I am glad to hear it.
There is pain in that.
He says, I am sorry to hear that, but I think that is probably true. Yes, I am not very stealthy. My appearance usually is well noted by all those around me. And yet, I have never really felt the need to be quite as joyful about the experience of doing good as my compatriots did. There were two of us in particular, one of them a barbarian, and he bows slightly to you, Arash, no offense meant, of course, who wanted to do things with maximum possible volume. He was an incredible fighter, most effective at his job, but several died that should not have because of his actions, and we could not convince him of this. I would say that I was perhaps in the middle of the discussion, but leaning more towards the side of using greater caution and care. But the fight that we were having was a bitter one, and unfortunately I could not bridge the gap between the two that said we should do what we have done all along, and the two that said we should act with more care and caution.
Did you try to find Hekaton?
Yes. I have spent some time combing the Sword Coast for rumors or news of him, but there has been nothing, and that worries me. Speaking of stealth, Hekaton does not fit that description either. The king of the Ordning, the head of the Ordning, would be well known by all those who saw him, and that suggests that he has been taken away by a force even greater than himself, and that is worrisome to me.
I mean, really, it should be quite difficult to keep a mighty giant prisoner somewhere. And we are sure he didn't go willingly, right?
I cannot imagine Hekaton abandoning his people, nor leaving them behind with no instructions or word of where he had gone. As for keeping him prisoner, I know it would not be it would not be easy to keep me prisoner. And you kind of see his muscles nodding as he's, turning the thing, let alone Hekaton, who stands almost twice my height. You're like, He says, Hekaton has never...
big boy.
Hekaton has never been imprisoned. There was a time when he broke the neck of an adult blue dragon that he fought. This is the kind of warrior Hekaton is. And if he was somehow captured and imprisoned, he just shakes his head.
Is there... I mean... Is there any... How many places in the world are there that are more or less civilized, like castles and similar, where a giant that size could be kept?
Smells like magic to me.
I agree. There are, of course, sometimes cities, castles in the clouds that fly. Indeed, I had a friend who used to fly such a castle. And perhaps he could be kept somewhere there, I suppose. In the mountains is another place. The mountains are mightier even than the storm giants, and that is one reason that I was headed into the Grey Peak Mountains. That, and to seek out, perhaps heading north, the Eye of the Allfather. Or perhaps far at sea, where he could be kept on an island, where even his great strength would not allow him to cross the mighty ocean and return here. But all of this would have to be done through some powerful magic or some great creature. Greater than Hekaton, and that is not a large number of things.
Is the Ring of Winter one of them?
And he nods and he says, yes, the Ring of Winter. Well, the Ring of Winter would have affected Hekaton as it affects all giants. I, too, have felt its call. But the ring, for the greatest of giants, will not dictate their behavior, simply be an irritant to them. sort of like a whistle might be, beyond the range of human ears, and yet causes dogs great pain. This is what the Ring of Winter would be for us. Hecaton certainly could resist the call of the Ring of Winter if he so chose. However, if the Ring of Winter brought some other giants together, and they then were used as a group, perhaps Hecaton could stand against 5, 10, 15 giants. But if you brought together 30 or 35, Hecaton is not immortal, after all.
Who are Hecaton's greatest enemies?
That is a good question. Some might say those within the Ordning that did not appreciate his domination of it. But that group, I think, is unlikely. There is great respect for the way that he ran the Ordning, though he did so sternly. He did not act with cruelty or malice, and his great size meant that he was essentially unchallenged at the top of that position. I do not know beyond that. Certainly there would be some dragons that would not think of his previous encounters with them kindly, and perhaps a dragon could have sought out revenge. And dragons are indeed powerful and dangerous, but, as you can see, kind of inclines his head again, not necessarily more powerful than giants when we know what we are about.
But why would somebody go through all the trouble of keeping Hecaton prisoner instead of just killing him?
It is no easy thing to kill Hecaton, and if they did so, and word got out, the vengeance of the giants, the anguish at the loss of their leader, and the killing of him might be enough to unify them again, especially if one of his children, and I think particularly Sarissa, was able to bring them together under her banner. Probably to avoid that, they decided they would simply keep him under lock and key rather than allow him to serve as a martyr. But I do not know that he has not been killed. It is possible that Hecaton no longer lives. We have not seen him now for months, and if he no longer lives, we have had a grievous blow struck to us.
Is there any way of knowing if he no longer lives? Or is it, I mean, I don't know how powerful Hecaton is. Is there some sort of feeling or signal, does a mountain fall down or something?
No, sadly not. There is, of course, the ability to scry, to gather information from afar, and yet so far any wizards or mages that I've spoken to have been unable to find him. Even the greatest of ones. I sought out one such, a Ryuvi Darkcrasher, and asked him, "Do you have any knowledge of how someone might find this?" And there at the top of his tower, he sought out this Hecaton, and yet saw nothing. He told me that he suspected that it was something relating to a magical shield, preventing someone from being able to see him from a distance.
Told you it's not like magic.
This mage was rather powerful, and if his spells could not penetrate the shield that protected them, then indeed, yes, magic may be associated with it. Or he may be dead.
So, I don't know if the others want to ask any additional questions, but I was going to ask more questions about Hecaton's family. So you said there are 3 daughters.
Yes.
So is it Sarissa is the youngest, and essentially, the good one? And who are the other 2?
The other 2 are named Mirren and Nim. Both of them were, in some ways, took after relations of Hecaton, his brother and others, and not so much their father and mother. It was only Sarissa who understood what her father had claimed, and indeed, even Hecaton himself would not have been as understanding of the younger, smaller races were it not for the influence of his wife. Always Queen Neri gave him a softness and understanding of other things. Their love for each other was legendary, larger than themselves, I think. But yes, Mirren and Nim, the 2 daughters that did not listen to him, Sarissa the one who did. I do not know who currently runs the Ordning, for I have been wandering through the world. But if Hecaton's family is connected at all, I would hope that it was Sarissa who had been given the rule, and not one of the others. But it could explain much if one of the others had gained that power.
What of the Queen?
Queen Neri, I do not know. She would be the one that I would expect, and yet, in the method of the ordning, Queen Neri would not be able to be queen for much longer beyond when the king had been pronounced missing or dead. At that point, his heirs would take over, not his betrothed and beloved. Queen Neri would not act as regent to them, for long since each of their children had come of age.
That's
Wait,
not,
so-
it's
so
not
the-
how it goes down in all culture.
So the queen has not, the king has not been pronounced missing.
The king has not yet been officially pronounced missing or dead, although from what I understood, last I heard of this several months ago, there were rumblings that perhaps this must be done. The storm giants, I imagine, view what has happened to the giants with as much horror as the rest of us do. I, as a frost giant, am not at their level, and yet I can myself recognize what the storm giants wish.
So, like, everybody knows he's gone, and they're like, well, but we don't consider him missing. They're like, we just misplaced him.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think there are some who are seeking him. But there is some danger, you realize, in acknowledging that the greatest king of your race, the one that you believed would always lead you, has somehow vanished. As it is, the ordning is in shattered ruins. Imagine what it would be like if the one person to which all respect and pay homage were publicly, officially admitted to be gone. What you have seen so far would be but a small ripple to the tsunami of rage which would happen after that.
I think I need to eat first.
That is good, as I believe this cow is ready.
Yes.
He actually says meat, not cow. And so he takes it off the spit, puts it down, thunk, immediately chops the head off, no problem. Just one slice. And then begins to, with surprising sort of grace and skill, basically slice off pieces, like he skins the cow, slices off pieces of the cow. He actually, as he's doing this, he says, I always cook the cow within the skin. It's like parchment paper, all of the juices kept within. He has this smile on his face. So he then serves out on this plate just this, this steak, okay? This is the greatest steak of all steaks. Like, this thing is just so succulent and just the perfect. He actually sprinkled on a little bit of seasoning too. You're not sure what that was, but serves it to all of you, and he says, unfortunately, I do not have plates or things that the younger races believe in as part of their more gracious living, but I think Urash has shown us the right way. And after he's fed all of you, he just takes the entire back haunch of the cow and is just
Nice. Excellent. Yep. I feel better already.
Oh, man. It's so good. And River, I'm curious how River's eating this, by the way.
I am not.
With that face.
Actually,
Really?
I'm very apprehensive about it.
Okay.
So River is sitting here with this meat, just staring at it, clearly wanting it, mouth open, drool everywhere, but
twitching a little bit.
Because she doesn't want to lie. She doesn't want to break her promise. So she's just like,
if I may, it looks as if you are concerned, River. I promise you that the meat is not in any way poisonous.
no, I made a promise that I wouldn't eat all the time. And I don't know if I'm allowed to eat this.
So he
Are you
says,
hungry?
yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry, Rush.
Well, I just turned to River. I was like, it's simple. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Then eat or you'll fall over.
That
That's
seems
not
like good
eating
advice
stuff.
to me.
An eater, you'll fall
Look,
over.
you're an adventurer. You get hungry, you get too hungry, you fall down.
I think it was more about not overindulging and not stopping eating completely. So you should eat.
Okay. And then my face enters the steak.
Your face becomes one with the
There's
steak.
the river we
Okay. So as you folks are reading, Harshnag, who says little, he actually just, other than responding to your questions, but he just kind of sits there every so often. You can see he has this kind of far-off expression. He has this great, you can see this sort of white flecked beard, and his face is obviously weathered, but he looks far from ancient. He looks old, but he does not look weak at all. And as he sort of eats with the axe sort of just hanging there between his knees, every so often he kind of looks off into the horizon, and then occasionally comes back to looking at all of you, and gives like just a sort of slight, small smile, and then goes back off to looking out again.
Okay, so how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
He says,
Like, chomping away at the steaks, I'm saying.
Several hundred years, my friend. Although I have long since stopped counting the years, I find that I enjoy more counting the notches on my axe than the notches of time that I pass through.
So you must have seen some mighty battles. What's the best battle you've been in?
That is an interesting one. There was a time once where I remember fighting a whole host of dragons long before the events of some years ago. There I stood, with dragons all around us, and I and several of my companions, this still in Force Grey when I was together with them. We fought for 2 days and 2 nights. I drove away dragon after dragon, rolled and dodged out of the way of flame breath after flame breath. And finally I came to the top of a mountain where we had been battling beneath, and looking down upon my enemies, I saw the greatest of the dragons, an ancient one below me. I knew that we could not allow him to continue his depredations. He would turn the tide of battle. And so I leaped from the peak of the mountain onto his back. Long we fought, him spinning to the right, my dragging him back to the left, almost running into the ground in some cases, flying up so high the air was thin enough I felt that I would faint. Yet I held on with a grip like death. In the end he roared at me and swore that his end would be mine too, and flew towards the ground, towards my companions in desperate peril. At the last moment I pulled with all my strength, drove his neck backwards, and in so doing exposed him. A shot from below entered the scales that had opened up into his throat. Gurgling, he grabbed at it, and, losing control of his body and wings, crashed down from on ruin into the ice below. And so he died, but not me. I managed to pull myself to the surface. There is some benefit, it seems, to being a frost giant. He could not defeat the he could not defeat the arrow that pierced him, nor the cold which consumed him. But I was born in ice, and to ice I will someday return, but not yet. I swam to the edge, pulled myself out, and met my companions. With the loss of their leader, the dragons quailed and lost heart and flew away. And as I saw them go, I knew that I was blessed to be alive by the All-Father for at least one more day. And now that day has turned into hundreds of years. It is interesting how time passes.
That's truly a great tale.
He says, "But what of you? I am interested in how all of you chose to be here. Certainly, if I look at all of you," and he kind of pans, like his vision pans from Greta to Selsig, who's like chewing somewhat nervously, and then to Urash, and then to River, who is pretty much almost half done with this consumed steak. And he's like, "You seem like a group the Harpers would have assembled, if you follow what I mean. And I'm curious, how did you come together? I would welcome a tale of camaraderie, since I have been alone for many years."
Oh, I wasn't here at the beginning of the forming of this entourage. I believe that was Selsig and Greta. Is that correct?
Yes.
So maybe you wanna explain how everything got started.
I would say that it was Falto's hand that brought us together. When there were people in need, he just made us be at the right place at the right time and help. I stare at Salsig, slightly unsure but whether he is okay with that.
I just tend to find that bad luck finds me if I stay still in one place too long.
And he sort of looks
Then
at you
again,
and
it finds me anyway, so I'm clearly not a good life chooser.
he looks at you and he says, I'm curious, Selsig, as he kind of stares at you. I have heard, when I heard that there was a party after me, the description of most of you was very clear. Greta Guldenfire, the cleric, Uraash, the barbarian, River, the sorcerer. But for
The
you...
what? The River, the what?
River, the sorcerer.
I stare at River. You're a sorcerer?
You're a sorcerer?
I just like hide behind my stake.
Do a trick! Do a trick!
No, I don't want to do a trick. Don't make me do a trick.
Indeed, I have heard rumors of powerful sorcery from River. And the one that I like that you're just sort of staring at her.
This is a small steak.
He's like, but I am rather surprised at finding what you are, Selsig. I heard rumors that you were a ranger, a rogue, a magician, a casino owner,
Paladin.
a paladin. Some made reference to Selsig of the Nine Fingers. You seem to have quite a few stories, and I'm curious which one is the true one.
I'm a legend in my own lifetime, I have to say. And if I am to have a history, I prefer it to be multiple choice.
He nods and he says, I have wished for that spell of truth that you cast upon us before, Greta. But I will take Selsig at his word, such as it is. In any case, you serve them. But why, Selsig, is my question. Why, if you are these things, do you work with these people?
Because, regardless of all that's being said, giants fighting doesn't just affect giants. I've seen towns falling down, families torn apart, great evil, ambushes, brigands roaming wild, cats and dogs living together.
Horses eating each other.
Yeah.
He nods and he says, yes, using locusts and a terrible flood.
I have even seen a dwarf try to sneak. Have you seen a dwarf try to sneak?
No.
It's not-
No, but I have seen a halfling fly.
Well, the thing is, if there was a dwarf trying to sneak, you would see them. So yeah.
And he nods and he says, ah, indeed. So you serve them for greater purpose. I admire that.
They
It
don't
is-
always realize it, but sometimes they need someone who is a little grayer than they are. Maybe can get into the places they might not be able to get into truthfully and honestly.
You refer
Say
to
the
what a
words
friend of mine called the little white lie.
Indeed. Although the great big whopper can be a lot of fun too.
And he chuckles and he says, I see I will have to have my guard up around you, Selsig, or call upon Greta's truth-telling to help the white lie become a white truth. We shall see.
Yes, this is a worrying new development. I won't lie. That one is a truth.
He smiles and he says, and what of you, Uraash? Why exactly have you decided to journey with these companions? As an orc yourself of orcish heritage, I imagine it must have been difficult for you, caught between worlds. Why exactly would you serve the good when so many of these same races have been anything but good to you?
Well, I'll give you the short version. So, at the age of 12, I was basically given a hand axe by my father and sent out of our village. This is just the normal. I'm looking around because people normally look quite shocked when I say this. That's the normal ritual. It's the normal bloodening ritual in our village. Basically, you spend 3 days and 3 nights awake in the wild, and if you survive, then you're a man. And if you don't, then there's always more half-orc babies to be made. I survived, but realized that I enjoyed foraging, I enjoyed hunting, I enjoyed the thrill of being outdoors and adventuring, and I then became a woodcutter, a forester for the village, and I just realized that was a very mundane life. So I traveled quite soon after that, and I've been basically on the road moving south ever since, doing odd jobs here and there. I was a bodyguard for a while. I got conned by a client and basically got given this apple cart as a payment, and I got stranded in a city with no money, and had to try and sell this fruit. And that's when I met these guys, and they helped me out of a bit of a bind. I helped them, they helped me, and I don't know, Tempest does things for his own reason, and I have a feeling that since I've joined this band of unlikely colleagues and adventurers, that I've had great hardship, but I've also had great glory, and even better, I've found a tribe. So it's kind of the family I never knew I needed.
He smiles and he says, "It pleases me to hear this, and your story indeed is not that different from my own. Ah, but I see you carry with you the weapon of choice, that axe." And he kind of looks at the axe. He says,
Yeah, we met Rufy.
Yeah, I got this from a frost giant named Dreefy.
And when you say that name, he stops. Yep. Droofy. Really?
So you know Droofy?
Yes.
Well, he knew Droofy.
Well,
you mean she is gone?
Let's see how this plays out.
He sort of sits back a little bit. My beloved, no. He sits. Just kidding.
And it's a lovely meal.
We're gonna leave. No. He leans back and he says, "So, Droofy has finally overextended herself, as I suspected she would. Yes, I know of Droofy. She was one of the frost giants who always rankled in her position in the ordning, always wished to go out, to use her strength, her size, her viciousness to gain power. Despite my attempts to convince her, and others like me, to convince her that it was not a way for us to survive, that we would be hunted to extinction eventually. But she said no. Always was she preoccupied with gaining more power. If she indeed was brought low by you," he stops, he says, "it was no doubt a good deed, and yet I am sorry. Droofy could have been one of the best of us, and yet in the end..." And he says, "But is this Droofy's axe, then?"
It is, and just before I take the axe out and kind of show it, I'd just like to say that I believe that Droofy was good inside. I believe that Droofy was, in no uncertain terms, one of the best of you. She was brave, she was fierce, and she made it very clear in her heart what she wanted. So whether her intentions were pure or her intentions were evil, I think that bravery is something that should be rewarded and something that should be celebrated. Sorry. There is no dishonor in an honorable death. But yes, this axe, I take the axe out. I just kind of place it on the ground in front of him. This axe is, it's kind of Droofy's last goodbye, if that makes sense. So I'm assuming you know of it.
And he says, "I do. This axe was famous or infamous among my people. I am troubled, however, Urash. Despite your might and strength, I'm not sure that you know what this thing could do to you."
Well, I've had it appraised by some counsellors. I'm aware of the curse. And at this moment, Urash looks very uncomfortable. I think my greatest fear is I look over to the other party members. Will know what it will do to me.
Oh, we got this, Urash.
I do seem to get hurt around you a lot. This has become clear.
Now that you mention it. He sort of looks at you very seriously, and then he says, I believe that your ability to know who this puts at risk suggests that you have as yet been uncorrupted by it. But I have for some time suspected that Drufy's drive for power was not solely hers alone. That axe you bear is not a good one. I would take it from you, and yet I know in so doing I would drive you to madness, and I would be forced to cut you down, or you to kill me. This is troubling. The killing of Drufy was a good deed, but your control of that axe, he shakes his head, it will be difficult.
It is something that I hope to be rid of, one way or another. If you're aware of any ways I can relinquish this curse, or methods, you've been around a long time, you may know something.
Happen to have a Mount Doom somewhere?
That'd help.
That would help.
Yeah.
There is
Like I happen to know the spell.
so he kind of
Friends with Elminster or anything like that.
mhm. He kind of sort of looks into the fire, and at this point his axe is sort of just down, by the ground, and he says, there is one way that I have heard, but I do not know, friend Selsig, friend Selsig, I do not know, and Selsig, you must do it. No, only
And
you.
you get a curse.
Had you get a curse? No, he said, and I do not know, friend Urash, if you will appreciate the suggestion. The axe that you hold, this axe of blood, corrupts through power. The more that you kill using its power, the more that you are urged on to kill more, to give more blood to the ever-hungering edge of the blade. There is one way that the curse may be broken, and that is if you turn away from the fight, to go away from your nature, to, for one time alone, when a battle would be what it feels right to you to do, turning away from it, denying the power of the axe, and walking away in peace. This will break the power of the axe. So it is said. And yet I have never known anyone who could do this. For Drufy to walk away from a fight would have been for like a young baby to stop breathing. It could not be imagined. I have only known you for a short time, but it seems to me unlikely you would turn away from the world of Tempest. And yet you must deny your nature once if you would deny the corruption that this axe offers. It is not a pleasant decision, I know.
I appreciate the help and the information. I don't know. I don't know. At this point, I'm playing with the symbol of Tempest around my neck. I have been for several minutes, to be honest with you. I just now realize I'm doing it and kind of look at it and try and turn it around in my fingers. I just go quiet.
And he says, we may speak more of this in the future, Urash. I know what it is to carry a burden. I will help if I may. And then he turns to you, River, and he says, as for you, you are a dragonborn and a sorcerer, whether or not that surprises your party. And...
Wait, you're a sorcerer?
God damn it.
So
but
I didn't know about
Are you a
much about
dragonborn?
dragon.
Huh? What?
So wait, I didn't know much about Dragonborn, but you are kind of female, right?
Kind of.
Well, I'm mostly female, yeah.
So you're a
Why-
sorceress.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess so.
Wait, what? Guess so. You wouldn't know?
Well, I don't know. Words are hard. I
We
know
use
how to use
gender
power.
neutral terms. No, just kidding. Sorry. Just kidding.
Masculine version is not a gender neutral term. Oh,
Fair. Fair.
wielder of magic. There you go. That's a gender neutral term.
There we go.
Yes.
Yes.
Carry on. I'll go back on mute now.
So, why haven't we seen you do magic so far?
Why would I do magic?
Because we had people try to kill us, for example.
Just now, and we were riding on a horse, and there wasn't any time, and then you jumped off the horse, and I had to flip around the horse and try to go get you, and by the time I reached you, all heck was breaking loose, and I didn't know what to do. I was very flustered.
Okay,
That's
so,
fine.
Aside, you were better at sneaking.
Best answer.
okay, sorry.
Okay.
And Harshnag sort of chuckles a little bit and says, yes, indeed, I see that we all have things to learn about each other. I wonder why you, River, joined this group. You are a dragonborn, the others members of the humanoid races. You come from a bloodline that is extended down through many generations and centuries, perhaps even longer in that bloodline than even the dwarves. And yet you have chosen to spend your time with them, to work with them side by side. I wonder what has drawn you to them.
Well, it started out one sunny little morning. I was just wandering around the forest, minding my own business, looking for squirrels to eat. And then all of a sudden, Sparkles shows up and he's like, hey, I need you to go talk to this place. And I don't know what the place was called. He called it a thing, but it was really tall and he needed me to go talk to it. And he said that I needed to do it for a harp. So I went there and then I met them and they were really nice. And I've heard about friends, but I didn't know what they were. And I wasn't going to eat these guys because they were nice. So I thought I'd hang out with them and then they helped me do things that Sparkles told me to do. So then I did both the things I was supposed to do and they were still nice. So I hung out. It was good. And now I have friends, I think. And I look at my party, right?
We nod. Yes.
It's we all nod.
He says,
It turns out the real magic was friendship.
friendship is rare. All right. He says, I see. Yes, friendship is indeed a powerful force. You mentioned a Sparkles. What is Sparkles?
Oh, he's really. What do you guys call those? Dragon. He's a dragon. But it's only sometimes.
Ah.
Sometimes
It's like,
he's not a dragon,
you, but bigger.
like much bigger. And
Yeah.
gold. Yeah.
Really? Did this Sparkles call himself by another name? And he kind of looks at the three. He looks at the other three of you, like sort of like.
I'm not answering that. I'm waiting for her.
Yeah, it's a really long name though. I just call him Sparkles.
Califragia.
Yes. He says, yes. Kalismana.
Ah, yes, you know.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. Kalismana does have a way of gathering people together that seem different and yet on the inside are similar, driven by bigger concerns, driven by a desire to do good and escape perhaps the risks that one has engaged in, and then to engage in friendship. I am glad of this. And yet, Greta, and he turns back to you, he says, and yet, Greta, of all of these, you would seem to be the one that would have the desire for order, to be able to work together with people in an orderly and understanding fashion. Yet here you have somewhat controlled, perhaps, but still chaos. A sorcerer wandering the woods, a barbarian fighting corruption within himself, although I have no doubt he will find a way in the end to overcome it. Someone who has different approaches to the truth depending on the circumstances, kind of looks over you. Yet somehow you have been with them. Why would you put up with this group of chaotic individuals, I wonder?
Order and what's right, what's good, it's not a place, it's always a way to get there. You cannot expect the world to be in a static situation that fits you. And we are like straight as an arrow, we are on our way. We are guided by the same force, I still believe. We're guided towards helping this world, and what better could there be? Also, they are friends. It's just, you cannot expect your friends to be like yourself all the time. That would be really, really weird.
And he sort of looks at you for a while and then says, I see there is great wisdom in the younger races, perhaps more wisdom than my people, driven by rules above all else, strength beyond measure. Yes, I think what you say is true. It is what brought me together with the rest of Force Grey, a belief that good was something we could better accomplish together than apart. Perhaps that is something which we bear as an advantage over our enemies, eh? They are all at each other's throats. We could be unified. That is an advantage we possess. He kind of nods and sort of looks into the fire thoughtfully, and he says, this journey that I ask you to go on will not be an easy one, as I have said. The temple is far in the mountains. The weather is dreadfully cold. Creatures of all descriptions roam the mountains and land leading up to it. And, of course, the temple itself may not be hospitable to little folk. I would not even suggest it to all of you, were it not clear to me that I cannot do everything myself, nor can any of you. I think we were meant to work together on this journey. But I cannot force you. It is your decision, of course.
I'm in.
I will pray upon this, because having kind of a pilgrimage to a different temple is and asking an oracle of a different god for advice, I will have to pray and sleep on this.
I understand. I should say that the All-Father and Foltus are friendly with each other. Annam would find Foltus to have wisdom in good measure, if, that is, Foltus was not somewhat more fiery of temper when required. Yet I would consider them to be friendly with each other, if that makes a difference.
I'll think of it.
So
How smashed does Celsic still look like?
he looks pretty smashed. I mean, like, well, what?
Yeah,
no,
I
are we
thought
talking
when
about
he
a
was
different version of smashed now? After he's been like,
No, what does it mean? Like okay, I'll move over and I'll use up my Q wounds to put another 1d8 plus modifier into Celsic.
all right, sounds good. Thank you for the follow. Also, by the way, Late Night Hero, welcome to GOG and the DRM Free family. And while she's healing Celsig, I will take this opportunity to say that you are watching episode 158 of Pen and Pixels. This is D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder. The party has been having a conversation with Harshnag, the one that they have sought and is now learning from him about what he thinks has happened to the giants and what they must do to combat it. If you like what you see from the wonderful Pyron, Darksaber, Mike, and River, and Shah Tasty Jai, it was because I saw the turban and I just thought River. No, Mike and Tasty Chai, you should please follow us not only here, but please check out our individual channels as well. And we got a lot of big stuff coming up on GOG, and so you will want to stick around to see all of the awesomeness of that. What's up, Firesnake? Okay, so how do we do? We got 8 points back for
Yes.
Celsic here.
Another 8 points for Celsic, please.
Okay.
Because there is no use going to sleep with all those spells.
That's true. It looks like you're going to get a rest of some kind. How long, you're not sure yet, but it looks like you will get a rest.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have a little prayer and put... Does anybody else look a little bit still hurt?
Only possibility is probably Urash.
I'm missing like 19 hit points. That's it.
Right. 19. I think Celsic is still down 14, right?
Yes.
And Greta, you yourself, of course, are down 13. So.
Yeah, but I can only do one more, so I have to decide. Well, I'm gonna do another one on Celsic then. Only a little one. It's only a healing word.
Okay.
Let's see. It's gonna ask me which level again. There we go. Well, not too shabby.
Being the barbarian of the group, Celsic, you are of course first in the fray.
I remember at one point I had more HP than the entire party.
Yep.
Maybe Greta feels slightly guilty, you know. Just saying.
And it was flawless sneaking, and then Greta occurred.
Oh.
Wow. Shots fired.
I mean, in the nicest possible way, but
I remember
Greta at a really crucial moment.
I think I rolled a 1 twice when it was really important.
Literally climbing over the giant, I think we had to do.
We still love you.
Thank you. Good to know.
Never anger the healer.
Given we all have all of our limbs, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I'm really bad at playing a barbarian and a rogue at the same time.
No, you're great at playing a barbarian. I'm good. You shite at playing a rogue.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You don't like playing a rogue. You played a rogue, you played a ranger, you played a paladin, you played a barbarian.
I'm a Barbara rogue. You don't. Not really.
I think it's about time I launched my bard career.
I'm thinking of a new career, bard.
I need to loot a loot.
I look at Harshnag. How will we distribute the watches? Like, who stays awake
He
during
says,
night at which time?
"As for that, it is your decision. I am not sleepy, and I'm happy to stay up the night, and watch over you. But if you are concerned, you can have some of you watching with me for portions of that time. But I do not think that anything will come close to us. Those giants that we just killed had been marauding in this area, I think, for some time. But there were a few others around, or I would have seen more sign of them. However, these are dark times. I will wake you immediately if anything comes close."
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Thanks, bro.
I'll withdraw a little bit and go and pray.
Okay. I want to take this one by one. I'm going to start with you, Greta. When you were off praying, and tell me what is the nature of your prayer, actually?
I want to like feel if I'm still on the way that Foltos wants me to be, because I'm like this. The way leading me to the altar of a different god is a strange thing for me, and so I want to pray on that.
Okay. So as you sort of go off to do that, you are so you're off sort of praying. And then you feel almost a static electricity, a presence that you are right near, that is behind you. You don't hear anything, you simply feel it.
Like positively or negatively?
Don't know. Just great, great power.
Okay, I turn around.
What you see standing behind you is a tall, slender man who is in a white robe and has fair skin and hair, but his eyes shine with blazing fire, and in his hand he carries a staff, which is an ivory staff that is shod in silver, and at the top is a sun disk of electrum. And on the outside of his body, you can see light radiating off him. And he looks at you, sort of down upon you, and says, Greta Golden Fire.
Yes?
And he kind of looks down upon you. I have heard your prayer, my child. You have spoken to me, and you have called for my judgment and guidance. I would ask you this. What concerns you about this journey? Now, Greta, quite obviously, you have never had the experience of talking to a visual representation of your god. But the static electricity that you feel, your whole body feels warm, the hairs on your arms are standing up a little bit. You're just like, and he's almost too bright to look upon.
I will not avert my eyes. I'm pretty sure that Fultus would not want me to cower in his light, but stay taller well as much as I can.
Okay.
I want to know that I'm on the right path. When the path leads me away from you and towards another god, I want to know that I'm still doing your work, that I'm still walking in the light.
He nods, he says, The one true way is a strict path, but it guarantees rightness. You must show no tolerance for those who do not give what they can to the cause of law. And yet, I have observed you, Greta. I have observed the way you have brought my light into the world. I have observed the people with whom you keep congress, those who have different ways than mine. They are not followers of mine, yet they seek the light as I would. And thus, I am not concerned of your judgment. My question is, what will you do if they do turn to chaos? What if they do turn away from the light? What if they do act against my will and tenets?
Then I will bring them back to the light.
Will you burn the fire from them, or will you guide them with gentle care?
Not all light is fire. I will, and everybody who could be saved should be saved. I will do what is necessary, but I will not cause undue harm, because harm is not always the way of the light.
He nods and he says, There was a time, Greta Goldenfire, when I would have punished severely those who would speak to me of my rules. And yet I think you are right. The times have changed. Our world has changed, and even the gods themselves must rethink. And so I give you leave to do this thing. You may go to this temple, seek out what Anim the All-Father has to say to that who accompanies you. But remember that your true calling is not to him, nor any other god, but to the light. Use your judgment, follow the light, and you will remain within its glory.
I just nod.
And he says, I bid you good fortune. My blessing is upon you. But I will not be able to aid you in this form again. As you go forth on your journey, think carefully on who you are and the choices that you make. And then, go ahead.
I thank you for your guidance.
And so he lifts his staff, and the light, the sun at the top, like glows brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter until you do eventually kind of have to, because you can't see, shield your eyes and lower it. And when you open your eyes again, he is gone. And you sort of look around. No one else has said anything. I mean, there's no, no one else. Like, you're not right next to the group, but the point is no one seems to be running over going, hey, are you okay? So
it's not like somebody realized that the whole mountains were bright and shiny for a moment.
Right. Doesn't seem like it.
Okay. I will spend another moment in meditation and then return to the group and sleep.
Okay.
This is a private thing. I will not talk this over.
That's fine. Yeah, of course. Also, hi to Rick and Roll and Tempesteel for welcome to GOG.com. His Twitch channel. Okay. Selsig. You, in the midst of your dream, you are asleep finally, and are having a dream where you are in your childhood home, and you're wandering through your home, and there are all these closets that you don't remember from before. And every closet that you open has another outfit in it. One seems to be like an outfit for a woodsman. Another one seems to be an outfit for a person who would like a loincloth and basically a tunic. Another one seems to have a wizard's robe and so forth. And each of these things you kind of look, and like keep opening and opening and opening. And then at the last moment you come across a closet door that you open and you see only a mirror. And you are staring at yourself, your own face. But it is you far in the future, at presumably towards the end of your life, of old age. You look at yourself, you seem like yourself, weathered, but, like yourself, but old and weathered and so forth. And you are sort of staring at this mirror. And behind you, you can see that the mirror is reflecting another closet door. So you closet, open one, mirror, and then there's a closet behind you, closet door behind you. And you have the sense as you're sort of looking in the mirror at this closet door that that closet door is going to have something serious in it. There's going to be something important there. Maybe dangerous, maybe really important, maybe, it's always going to be important, but it could be dangerous, could be really great. But it's going to be something of momentous, and that you have the choice whether to open it or not.
So I'm looking at myself at a face, barely even recognizing myself. Like the prospect of old me, I'm living for the now, so the me years down the line isn't something I think about on a regular basis.
Yep.
People like me, we don't get old. We don't.
Live hard, die young.
Exactly.
Very few
Leaves don't die, they just fade away.
Mm-hmm.
Or they die, then fade away.
Yeah, right. Right.
But I am drawn towards the closet. As always. What's behind that door? It could be valuable. It could be dangerous. It doesn't even matter if it's valuable. Half the time, I just want to know what's in there. And that's guided my decisions through a lot of my life. So I sense I'm hesitating, but I'm slowly reaching out towards the door, and I put my hand on it. I just look back at myself and I just say, no regrets. And I open the closet.
When you open the closet, you see that the closet is opened out into a scene. And it is a scene from somewhere in, looks like it's not clear if it's in the mountains, if it's in a great cavern under the ground. It seems to be like you're in a rocky area maybe of some kind, but it's not necessarily like the mountains where you've been right now. And what you see is you see your companions. You see several of them, Greta and River, are on the ground. They are motionless. And they look to be badly injured, either unconscious or dead. And you also see yourself. And you are standing above them, sort of like, this is you as like regular Celsig, like not old Celsig. And you're sort of holding up a hand. And on the other side, you see Urash with his face contorted in rage, holding his axe. And it's almost like a freeze frame, like he's not moving right now. It's as if you're looking at a three-dimensional picture, and he is frozen with his axe held high. Now, what you cannot tell is if the axe that is holding high is being directed at you or your companions or something behind you that cannot be seen in that picture.
Do I look like I'm in a defensive reaction to this?
Yes, but it's not clear defensive to what.
Right.
Now, this looks like you could either keep looking at it, enter the picture, close the door and be like, the hell with this, or, you know.
Yeah. This would happen when I've been watching a lot of Doctor Who, wouldn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen, Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Yeah. Does observing what possibly could be the future make it predestined to happen? Is the snapshot enough for me to change it?
Good question.
Oh, man. I close the closet.
Okay. As you close the closet, there is sort of a moment's pause, and then you drift off into much more calming sleep with the echo of what it is that you have seen, the image of it, occasionally floating in the distance. Urash, you actually, no, I want to go to River next. River, you are also drifting away in comfortably satisfied, I finally ate a steak and feel okay about it dreams, as you were there. But you are actually standing on the hill near your old home, basically near the tower where you first found your companions. And you were standing there, and there are a bunch of things around you. There are a number of the ghostly dragonborn that you sort of met, just recently, who are standing around you, kind of in a, like, almost like in a circle around you. But that's not all that you see. You also see your companions, who are all around you, sort of watching you thoughtfully, I guess might be the way to put it. You see Kalismana is there, sort of watching you as well. And you are standing in the middle, facing down what looks like a dragon, one of your, shouldn't say kin, but like, one to which you have an affinity, obviously. You are facing down this dragon. It stares at you balefully, and you are looking up at it. And you have in your hands, you feel this sort of arcing power of frost that is within you, that you would be able to, with your magical power, consume this thing if you so chose. And this creature, as it looks at you, this dragon, is it's a terrible thing. This thing has done awful things to you. You somehow know instinctively it's done terrible things to your friends, and you want to be able to bring it to an end. And yet you feel that there is some connection between you and this creature. You could consume it in ice and destroy it, but you feel maybe you would be destroying a part of yourself to do that. Or you could turn away from it and allow it to do whatever it's going to do to you or your companions. And everyone around you in this circle is silent. They are waiting for whatever it is that you're going to do.
How close am I to it? Like touching distance?
No, I would say you're about maybe 50 feet away.
I want to try to approach it, like get within touching distance.
Okay. As you get closer to it, the creature kind of doesn't exactly rear back, but the creature is kind of like, and you can see for the first time that the creature also seems to be hurt, injured. Perhaps it's been in a fight before this. And you can see, by the way, I should mention that it is a blue dragon. So you can see sort of like little bits of electricity kind of sparking around it. So it doesn't move out of its way, but it seems like its teeth are bared a little bit as you get closer to it.
While I'm walking toward it, I spread my hands out in a clearly non-defensive manner, and if it will let me get close enough, I reach out and hug it as much of it as I can, whether it's just like a leg or something. I just, to try and like comfort.
As you reach out to do that, as you come in and reach out to do that, it opens its mouth wide. And it's not exactly clear what it's doing. As you are coming in, it holds up its claw. Could be to embrace, could be to swipe at you. And as you see its mouth open wide, its claw back, suddenly everything goes dark. And you are by yourself, just with that last image of the dragon's terrible face, in supplication or in triumph over your naivete. Don't know. But it remains in your mind as you sort of drift off into sleep. That brings us to Urash. Urash, you are, in your dream, you are cutting down creature after creature after creature. Just like a river of death. You are fighting, and it seems to be all different kinds of bad guys. There's orcs and goblins, and you see, bad humans, and there's a couple giants that you cut down, and nothing seems to touch you. Your axe glows red. You feel yourself almost maybe singing with joy. Your ears pound, and you're just, cutting down one after the other, blood sort of pulsing within you. You're feeling of like, you are sort of cutting and cutting and cutting. And then you see that as this line of creatures just sort of dies in front of you before your axe, you can actually see this great and clearly evil looking anyway, giant that is striding towards you. It has its arm outstretched. It is pointing at you, and very clearly it is ready to be able to face you. It has an enormous club that it has on its back. And it pulls out the club and it strides forward, and the creatures in front of it just scatter as it sort of strides in your way. And it shouts a challenge. You can't really hear what it is, but it shouts some challenge at you as you come. So I want to ask what you do, first of all.
Well, what does the giant look like?
It is an enormous giant made of, apparently, it has dark red skin. It has flame sort of crowns its head. This club that I mentioned glows a fierce red. It is wearing some kind of leather tunic. Sweat apparently pours down its face. Its nose is angular and cruel. You can see that in its right hand it has this club, as I mentioned. In its left hand it has some body that it has just killed and tossed off to the side. You think maybe that might be, maybe you saw Greta just then as the body that was being tossed aside, but it's not clear. But you can see it laughing at you, just laughing at your state, that you're just standing there. And it comes up to you with its club sort of.
Quick glance behind me. How many bodies are lined up behind me?
Hundreds.
Hundreds, like that I've cut through.
Yeah. Your hands are slippery with blood.
I close my eyes and drop my axe.
There is a moment of silence, and then you hear this horrific scream. It sounds perhaps like the voice of River. And then you wake. And you are, and you are next to the campfire. You can see, the campfire is now pretty low, and you can see Harshnag is kind of looking out at the horizon, and Harshnag kind of turns his head towards you and just, with his hands on his knees and quietly nods in your direction and says, "Welcome back to the land of the waking, Urash. I hear a dream consumed you for some time there."
I will move over to Harshnag so as not to disturb the others. And I will sit next to him and say, "So am I to expect darker dreams than this, given my affliction?"
He says, "Probably. The nature of this axe is that it pursues you in both your conscious and subconscious mind until you are driven to do things you cannot imagine. So it was with Drufi at any case. And yet, there may be differences between the two of you. Drufi often said that she had been destined to bear this axe. But indeed, I think the axe was destined to fall into the hands of one who would give her permission to engage in the actions she did. I don't know what I would have done, but I'd like to think I would have resisted better than Drufi did. Whether you can resist it, none can say."
I don't answer. I stare off into the distance.
He says, "There was a time when Force Grey had 6 members. I remember we were fighting. Her name was Lucia. She was a most devoted cleric, an adherent of Lathander. I remember watching her stride through hordes of undead as if nothing could touch her, glory shining round about her. We were fighting together, separated from the rest of the party, fighting in a crypt. And then something came up behind her. I saw it, but I also saw the creature that we had come to seek, racing for the exits, a horrific vampiric thing. Had it escaped from the crypt, there was no knowing what damage or destruction it could have wreaked. I had only seconds. I chose to chase the vampire. I took it down, and with Lucia's dying breath, she managed to banish it from this world. She died because the creature took her, stabbed her through the heart with one of its claws, because I did what I thought was right rather than save my friend. This is one of many tragedies that a life as long as I have lived will provide. But someday, Urash, you may be asked to make the same decision. I don't know what decision you would make. I don't know what decision I would have made had I to do it again. Lucia told me that I had been right. But as I watched the light fade from her eyes and a force for good leave the world, I wondered. I have always wondered.
I hope that, given any tests of my character put in my way, I would choose the best option that I thought was right, regardless of the axe, or regardless of its hold upon me. I have found something quite unique and quite wonderful with this entourage. I have found a family that I did not know I had, and I would protect them. I would stand by them, and I will face any evil with them. I do not know any of them particularly well, but I know I would not fight alongside any greater team of people, not even yourself, not even Force Grey. This is my Force Grey.
He smiles and he says, "There is only one such party for each of us. I am glad you have found yours. I am heartened, Urash. It is possible that you have taken action that Drufi could not. You have said no. It is very hard for evil to take hold of the unconsenting soul, the one who says no. Remember that, and your family, your friends here, and you may still do what Drufi could not." All right. Next day dawns with everyone having their own respective, things they were thinking about. First of all of you have the benefit here of a long rest. So that means that you restore your hit dice, you restore your hit points, and spells as well. So you are back up to full, everybody.
Quick question.
Sure.
My long rest, was that between me going to sleep and talking to Harshnag? Because I won't have slept after that.
I would say it was before that. And I would say that you were you woke up towards the morning. It's why I took you last, actually, to sort of reflect that. So, yeah.
Cool.
Hey, what's up, Blackheart? And in the morning, after dining on cold cow, which still tastes pretty good, even so, Harshnag says, "Well, my friends, if we are to do this together, then I think the time has come for us to head north. As I said, this journey will be, well, somewhat longer, or at least somewhat more dangerous. But I know the way that we must go. We must head to the east of the high forest, then cut west to the south of the Nether Mountains, go up through Silvery Moon and the Glimmerwood into the spine of the world. I do not think that we must spend much time taking side journeys, for indeed we have something driving us forward. But if any of you wish to stop somewhere along the way, we may do so. But I would ask we only do so in the direst of need, and you will have to go on your own in those moments, for my appearance might excite some reaction," he says.
Please complete your side quests now, for you may not get a chance once you leave this I was just going to mention to the party, if we're only going to one place, we still have Zephyros's summoning horn. Why don't we just use that to try and find this oracle? Like, why don't we just use Zephyros's tower with him?
Do you say that where he can hear you, Urash?
It depends how good his hearing is and how close he is. I say it, but I say it looking at the pie. I don't say it quietly.
I got you. Okay, so he says, "Did you say Zephyros?"
I might have done.
Zephyros, do you mean to tell me that old fool is still flying around in his castle?
Yes, I do. Given that tone of voice, yes, I do.
I have not seen Zephyros in many a year. Why, if you have access to him, I would welcome it, assuming that he can actually pilot that thing without crashing it.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, we'll see, I suppose.
Well, he piloted it actually pretty well.
He pilots it, Urash crashed into it.
Yeah, and one of his griffins died. It was really sad.
Oh, I am sorry to hear that. His griffins have always been important to him. Well, yes, if you wish, I did not mean to eavesdrop, friend Urash, but that name was so striking to me. It has been so long.
Okay, well, to be honest, I think that's
No town to worry about.
I think it's a good idea. We're not going to go anywhere else right now, so we may as well use that. Wait till the tower gets here. We can have a bit of a reunion. Then the tower can help us find this oracle. What do you say?
I look at Celsig because problem is that the player does not remember this. We could teleport from Lork to Neverwinter, right?
What, that the network?
We found another network entrance, didn't we? Where was it?
Very near us, actually. All bar. Hang on, it was in the. Oh God, did I just accidentally close? Oh, there we go. There we are. Yeah, it was in the place where we went with. There we go. Clicked and everything went away. Yeah, where we had the encounter with the Dragonborn ghosts, and there's a teleporter.
Oh, okay. I wasn't there. For that.
No, this was last year. All bar in Colette Sky, and that was another network. Apparently, this one was like not even known on the map.
Oh, I see.
Because the thing is, I'm not sure we would try to draw Sephiroth in this right away. I'd pronounce it correctly, don't I?
Sephiroth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like, I would really like to keep a low profile as well. We could, but thinking of that, maybe teleporting with a frost giant into Neverwinter is not the best idea.
Also, we need to get him in the cave, and then once we've got him on the teleporter in the cave, we need to get him out of the basement of Yartar.
Yeah. So maybe Urash was right there. Yeah, thinking about it. I'm not really sure how inconspicuous we could make a frost giant, even if we tried.
Yeah, not only a frost giant, a legendary frost giant as well. Like, it's
killed in a freak teleporter accident.
One or two other people in the world who know what it looks like. So it only takes one person to go, "Wait, he's not Harshnag." And then all of a sudden,
how would they know Harshnag? It's a legendary frost giant named Harshnag. It's not like his name would appear in golden letters above his head or something to mark him as a legendary frost giant.
I don't know. This you're talking to us. This stuff just happens to us. Elminster himself would be walking past the teleporter and just go, "Harshnag, my man, what's going on up high?" And then all
if we beat Elminster, I'm out.
Right.
Okay.
All I'm saying, maybe the tower's the way to go.
Okay. Yes, you are right.
So if you guys are going along with that, then you're going to summon him. And as you sort of look in the distance, you see after a little bit of time, there's silence. And then a few minutes later, you see this small dot on the horizon, which gets sort of, closer and closer and closer and closer. And you hear, as you get closer, booming down from the tower, "Welcome again, my friends." And that, I think, is where we are going to close up the session for today, because Blackheart is here and we got to give way to him.
Yeah.
I was so excited to have you talk to Harshnag. Great job. You guys did great. I'm really, really excited to see where you guys are going next on this place. By the way, I'll tell you, I don't normally do this, but this section that you're going into is called The Chosen Path. So you guys have chosen a path, and this is it. And you're going with Harshnag to the Eye of the Allfather. So you folks are going to get a chance to actually see this.
We chose it so much as randomly stumbled onto it eventually.
Well, but yeah. But you then had to choose to go along with him. I mean, this could have gone multiple ways, And you did a lot of exploring to find him, in fairness. Like, it wasn't like you just,
It's less of a choice, more of a distinct lack of options, in all fairness.
Basically, it all fell apart once we went to the ball, because then we didn't have a clue where to go next.
Yeah, I still wonder how big a ship has to be to fit Hekaton on it. That's something that I'm really thinking about all the time, actually.
The Doom ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about that ship. Would that ship have been big enough? This is something I'm really
It is something to think about. I really, though, I mean, I had a wonderful time. I was kind of like, can we play more now? I was really having a good time, and I hope you guys were as well. Great stuff.
Yeah.
But we do need to give way, of course, to Blackheart. So I will start as usual. River, I'm sorry, what's up, Aaron? You wanted to say something? Or
you just said yes.
Okay, yes. So Chai, great stuff today. I'm really enjoying kind of seeing how River develops over time. So how'd you feel about today, and where will the fine people see you next? You're muted.
I am muted. You are right. because I was busy being loud. The cats were being loud. So I loved today's session. It's so much fun to like explore how River develops more and just, I don't know. It's been fun because I've been discovering her while you guys have been discovering her. So it's been a real joy.
And I love that idea, by the way. You're embracing the dragon was really cool. Loved it.
Yeah.
Cool concept.
Yeah.
Cool idea.
But let's see, the next time I will be streaming will actually be here on Thursday. I'm going to be continuing my playthrough of Grim Dawn, and which will basically be me setting things on fire. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'll be embracing my inner Greta.
Awesome. I am looking forward to it. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Chai. And we will look forward to seeing you there and on here, of course, in our next session. Mike, again, always a pleasure. I really liked you kind of having a like big brother Bud Harshnag almost a little bit and sort of talking about some of it. So how'd you feel about today, and where will the fine people see you on the internets next?
I felt wonderful about today. It's absolutely wonderful to play D&D with you wonderful, wonderful people. You are my clan. You are, without a shadow of a doubt, just the extended family I didn't know I had. And to be honest, next time you see me on the internet, well, especially next time you see me on Twitch, will be probably here. In all honesty, I've been very busy with work recently, so yeah, there's not a lot of extracurricular activities at the moment, but very excited for the next session already.
Awesome. I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. Thanks, Mike. Moving right up the line, we got a chance to explore a little bit more, Saber, about stuff going on with you as well and choices that Saber has to make. I love that. I just wanted this image. I was thinking of like Bilbo wandering through Bag End, you know, and I just had this image of I was interested to see how you did that. And that was an interesting choice that you made. I think it was a good choice because it's the one you wanted to make, but I was really interested in that. So how'd you feel about today? Where will the fine people see you next?
I've had a blast again today. I always do. This is it's always fun getting together with everyone playing D&D. You do a great job DMing us, as you put it. Byron herds cats with the stream team. You herd cats with us lot.
I appreciate that. It helps to have good players.
And I will be back here tomorrow taking a look at a newly released DLC for Warhammer 40,000 Gladius, where I'm going to be trying to eat a planet as the Tyranids. Yes.
Outstanding. I cannot wait. That's going to be cool. Awesome. Good work today, Saber. And last but certainly not least, Pyron, again, great stuff from you too. And Greta got a chance to, not every day you get to speak to an avatar of one's god, and you got a chance to do a little bit of that. It was really fun to see how you were dealing with some of those things. How'd you feel about today, and where will the fine folks see you next?
I love today's session. I was really happy with this. And next, well, a lot of people see me in chat because I like watching the streams on here. I will try to fit in a stream now and then again, maybe for some Valentine's specials that we're thinking of next, but maybe even before. I would also say please keep an eye on our schedule. We might have some nice things coming up tomorrow that are not on the public schedule yet, so that would be a good thing. And yeah, so I hope to see you in chat very soon, because I like you, I still love watching all these great people on the channel stream, so that's a thing.
Good stuff. Thank you all. Great pleasure as always. I really enjoy all my groups, and I enjoy this group again because the enthusiasm, the fun, the genuine care they have for each other. So good stuff, everyone. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward already to our next session. Thank you to Pyron, to Dark Saber, to Mike, formerly known as Screaming Joy Pad, and of course to Tasty Chai. Great stuff, everybody. Chat, can we get some love for them? And I will see all you wonderful folks soon. Bye-bye. Alrighty. And that, folks, is going to do it for me as well. I've got to get out of here and let Blackheart take over. Oh my god, what? Sorry, I was playing the intro video again, which is great, but not time now. But thanks, everybody. Much love, and I will see all of you wonderful people soon. I will be back next Tuesday right here on GOG with more Thronebreaker. I'll also be playing more D&D this weekend, Curse of Strahd, on my channel, so you can check that out. And Friday, I'm going to be doing the CD release party for my band's third album, 5 years later, which is called, my band is called The Road, and 5 years later is going to be coming up on Friday at 7:30. Actually is when the doors open, and I'm going to try to live stream that. But if any of you are in the Cambridge, Massachusetts area, it's going to be at a place called the Lily Pad in Cambridge, Mass. We'll be playing up there, and it'll be a good time. And then Saturday night, I'll be on my channel for D&D with Infinity and Beyond, my longest running campaign, Curse of Strahd. That's it. Sorry we went over time, Blackheart. Much love to everyone there. Stick around for Blackheart, who's going to be playing Rayman Origins, and I will see all of you wonderful people very soon. Until then, everyone, be good to each other, and bye for now. See you.